Over the years, I have tried to maintain a committed approach towards sustainability and be conscious of my environmental footprint. As a fashion design student at the Wilson School of Design, I challenged myself last year to construct a garment focused on material waste in the fashion industry. I designed a single modular garment with multiple functions to reduce excessive consumption and fabric waste. However, the aftermath resulted in a decent collection of fabric scraps that went unused after cutting out my pattern. This made me reflect on all the fabric, yarn, thread, and textile scraps that are discarded, without ever considering potential uses for them and not realizing their contribution to textile waste. For this year's Upcycled design competition, I set a goal for myself to make use of all the small scraps that usually go unnoticed or unused and make a large textile tapestry.
The red little thingies?
I started my tapestry making journey by looking through what I already had, remembering that I had blue and beige fabric scraps left over from my OSF garment of last year, which I do end up using for background pieces and in the finer details of my tapestry. From there, I made my way to Our Social Fabrics. OSF supplies incredible bolts of recycled and sustainably sourced fabrics, and I was astonished to find their large bins full of reclaimable scraps. Scrounging through, I found many promising pieces, which contributed to distinct details in the final product. While at OSF, I also made sure I was buying just enough, not too much, given my end goal was to decrease waste rather than contribute to it. Any other fabrics sourced after my trip to OSF were taken from scrap bins at the Wilson School of Design, or from a second-hand craft shop, such as the upholstery panel I found, or the checkered napkins that perfectly match my initial sketch. Once I was satisfied with my scraggly assortment of scraps, I started the construction journey for my tapestry, which I titled The Scrapped Supper. The Gaia theory proposes that all of life's components, both living and non-living, operate in a single complex system in order to maintain habitable conditions for life on the planet. This system is self-regulating, as everything within is essential for maintaining Earth's equilibrium. When approaching my interpretation of the Gaia principle, my mind was drawn back to studying ecology and the classification system of the 5 kingdoms. Without one kingdom, the others would not flourish and survive, and vice versa, which exemplifies Gaia's theme of interconnection. Likewise, the 5 kingdoms naturally feed off of each other in a balanced cycle. An example of this would be the relationship of predator and prey. Despite this marauding relationship between the kingdoms, if this cycle didn't self-regulate, it would lead to starvation or overpopulation, which then contributes to the eventual extinction of the organisms. Within the context of the Gaia theory, my exploration of predator and prey relationships within the 5 kingdoms elicited the idea of a dinner party, where all participants at the table come from different backgrounds: human, animal, avian, marine, and plant, among others. This dinner party metaphorically represents the natural dichotomy of life. For example, fish bones on a plate while sitting adjacent to a fish. Tensions at this dinner table may be high. However, the dinner party would simply not exist if one of the group members didn't show up. A literal all-or-nothing scenario, once again pulling inspiration from the Gaia's theory of interconnection. With this concept in mind, and with the materials I had gathered, I was ready to start constructing the Scrapped Supper. The Scrapped Supper, as the name suggests, is a large tapestry using scrap fabrics, threads, and beads. These were then machine sewed, beaded, and hand sewn into panels depicting a dinner party scene. Every character at the table and the dinner table itself were all stitched separately in pieces. This helped me gauge what fabrics I had left and how I could continue to incorporate them. For example, the wolf character features 8 different fabric types and 19 cut panels, fastened together with zigzag stitching. His tie and cuffs were made of the same fabric as the yellow background and plaid tablecloth on the dinner table. His tongue was the same red as the background, and his teeth were the same fabric as the plates. Much like the wolf, all other characters at the table followed a similar approach, with each being made of at least 4 different fabrics. Although this made the construction of the tapestry rather tedious, it was an extremely satisfying process. I wanted to use up all my scraps, so there were many times where I had to visualize and problem solve in order to fit all the extra pieces, almost like a puzzle. Things like the fish bones being made out of the corner scraps of round plates, using the extra black fabric from cutting out the crow and turning it into individual feathers, and then the oranges on the plates even being made from the leftover scales of the goldfish. Overall, the cumulative time spent sewing every piece together took quite a while, as I sat at the sewing machine zigzag stitching, and stitching in a zigzag, and zigzag stitching. Nonetheless, I wouldn't change a thing, as I had enjoyed seeing the visual representation of my passion for sustainability come together into an 11-foot tall and 5.5-foot wide mosaic tapestry symbolizing the Gaia theory.
Can you go over there? Because this is a really great.
Fragile space in a single sail, white rocky island, you and I on the trail, just us and the waves, no need to behave in the harbor of pine straw beds, tangerine tears, t-shirts laid out like our grief throughout the years. We say it all with bait on our lines. We rise and we fall along with the tide in the